Him? He will be king? My younger brother? The astonishment mixed with rage in Athelstan was so intense that the messenger who delivered the news took a step back. "This is the decision of the Council of Elders," stammered Godfrey. "Your Majesty will inherit Mercia." "A splendid gift," Athelstan replied grimly, gesturing for the messenger to leave. He was already beginning to formulate a plan for his next moves. Aethelstan, son of King Edward the Elder of England, was born in the year 895. His mother was a common shepherdess named Egwin. At least, that's what the medieval historian William of Malmesbury tells us. However, researchers can often be biased. The Anglo-Saxon chronicles mention very little about Egwin, but she is certainly referred to as the king's wife. Thus, Aethelstan became the eldest son of the ruler, but far from the only one. Edward the Elder married twice more, and in total, he fathered 18 children. This is why, after the king's death, the Witenagemot, the Council of Elders, convened to determine who was worthy of the throne. The son from Edward's second marriage, Ethelwerd, would have been a convenient ruler for the nobility, a bookish recluse with little interest in politics and warfare. Naturally, the council chose him, but Aethelstan was not about to concede. By August, before the coronation could take place, the chosen king died. The 20-year-old prince was buried with full honors, without much scrutiny into the causes of his sudden death. Aethelstan got what he wanted. He crowned himself and declared himself the sovereign. Another brother of the newly crowned king, Edwin, did not agree with this usurpation of power. He attempted to rally Wessex, the territory where he had some influence, but Aethelstan proved stronger. The rebellion was crushed, and Edwin supposedly drowned in the sea by accident. In September of the year 925, the sovereign was officially crowned. To solidify his power on the island, shortly thereafter, Aethelstan offered his sister in marriage to King Sigtryggr of York. In return, Sigtryggr accepted baptism and acknowledged Aethelstan's supreme authority. For the first time, he managed to secure someone's submission without resorting to arms. Unfortunately, the King of York died a year later, and his relatives immediately claimed their rights. But Aethelstan was one step ahead. With a large army, he quickly conquered vast territories, expanding the borders of his realm in a way that no ruler in Britain had ever managed before. But in London, a conspiracy was already brewing. A certain Alfred began spreading rumors that the marriage between Aethelstan's father and his mother had never taken place, which meant the king was a bastard with no legitimate claim to the throne. Those dissatisfied with the new ruler eagerly sided with Alfred. The accusation was serious. Alongside weapons, stronger arguments were needed. Aethelstan had to urgently seek out witnesses, dig up old documents, and in the absence of some, forge new ones. All this was, of course, not to quell Alfred. The king dealt with the conspirator and his accomplices in the traditional manner. Some were captured and thrown into prison, while others were executed. However, the instigator of the rebellion was sent to Rome, where he was to humbly ask the Pope for forgiveness for his foolish actions. Ancient scrolls confirming the legitimacy of King Aethelstan's lineage were sent to the Eternal City in advance, so the Pope could verify the king's claims for himself. Alfred made it to Rome and even met with the Pope. But right after his confession, he was murdered somewhere in the city's streets. Aethelstan did not forgive traitors. However, the king still needed to secure his rights to his northern territories. In the year 927, an important meeting took place between Aethelstan and the relatives of the King of York, mediated by the Scottish ruler Constantine II. 10th century diplomacy worked. The English ruler managed to obtain a vassal oath from the others, pledging never to deal with the pagan Vikings who had ravaged the coast of Britain for centuries. Wales remained relatively independent. The nobility of Cornwall chose to bow before the king, but the Welsh were unwilling to surrender their autonomy. Against the defiant, Aethelstan launched a campaign. His accumulated military experience served him well once again. The province submitted and, moreover, was subjected to a hefty tribute. Each year, Wales was required to pay the king £20 of gold and £300 of silver. But the Scots turned out to be more cunning than Aethelstan had anticipated. King Constantine only verbally expressed his willingness to submit to the English ruler. In reality, he had no intention of fulfilling his obligations. The open defiance of the northern tribes prompted Aethelstan to launch a devastating campaign into Scotland. His forces ruthlessly plundered and burned everything in their path, and within a year, Scotland had fallen. King Constantine surrendered his son as a hostage to Aethelstan and reaffirmed his vassal oath. However, once again, Constantine deceived Aethelstan. The Scottish ruler began to plot against the English king, enlisting the support of the King of Strathclyde and the King of Dublin. Their combined forces invaded Aethelstan's territories, leading to one of the largest battles of the 10th century at Brunanburh, taking place north of the River Humber. Now, Aethelstan was a true ruler of England, a land that had once been fragmented into several kingdoms. Even his title had changed. He was now the king of all Britain, a designation that was also minted on coins. Yet, Aethelstan could not enjoy his power for long. His bloody crown, which he had earned through countless battles and intrigues, fell from his head in October of the year 939. The ruler of Britain passed away. While he was busy waging war and uniting the kingdom, Aethelstan had not found the time to establish a family or have children, so he bequeathed his throne to his brother. The remains of the king were honored with a burial in one of the monasteries. But in the 16th century, when the reformer Henry VIII abolished the monasteries, Aethelstan's grave was looted and destroyed. From the great and fearsome to his enemies, ruler of Britain, nothing remained at all.